So let's start with,
Thanks.
so you said you're avoiding your landlord.
I got it paid now, but yeah, I was at the time.
Okay. And why were you avoiding your landlord?
Because I didn't have the money to pay for rent, and I was afraid of like him being mad. And also, like, if I told my parents about the situation, they could probably help me, but they would get mad, right? So I
So
was like
that your
afraid of
parents
that.
would get mad?
Yeah, or like just like kind of be they give me like a reaction that I wouldn't really be happy with.
Okay. And what kind of reaction would they give you?
Like, oh, you need to get your shit together, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know, the issue with like how they seem to react is it's not like it's always negative. It doesn't feel constructive. It's like it's just telling me stuff that I already know.
Very good, Bullius. Now you're starting to become unencumbered. So this is how we got to slow rolling deprived. So I want all of you guys to understand that, like, when you carry this emotional weight, you kind of carry it, but like it actually doesn't help you do anything. Right? Like, knowing you're conflict avoidant, having conversations with people, when you carry that weight, it actually like weighs you down and like paralyzes you further. Does that make sense? So we're going to talk and
Yeah.
try to understand that a little bit, okay? So when you have a conversation with your parents, they say stuff like, "Oh, you need to get your shit together," right?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
Just bad. It doesn't motivate me to do anything. It just makes me feel bad
Why do you think that is?
because I know it's true, and because like it doesn't feel helpful.
Yeah. What
It's
does it
not like
feel like?
just like I'm being insulted in a way.
Yeah. And how, I don't know how to say this. What would you like them to say? Let's start there.
And my mom wasn't too bad about it yesterday, but my stepdad was worse. But she was just kind of more understanding.
And what did she say?
Well, I kept saying I was sorry, and she told me to stop saying I was sorry. And like, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she wasn't really as like mean about it.
And what about your stepdad?
He was pretty much just like, just get your shit together, and like saying he's like angry with me and stuff.
He said he was angry with you, or he sounded angry with you?
Well, he said he was like frustrated or something. I don't remember the exact words.
Okay. And did he say what was frustrating for him?
No, I don't think so.
How did you feel about yourself?
Like ashamed and unhappy.
What about frustrated?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say I was pretty frustrated with myself as well.
What's frustrating about your life right now?
Like I feel like I have no control and that I'm generally pretty unhappy, and it's hard to like be able to do a lot of things because of that.
Yeah. I can imagine that maybe you're frustrated with yourself because you're not helping yourself out and you don't know how to help
That's also
yourself out,
part of it. Yeah.
right? That's what's really hard, is like, you kind of know what you should do, and it doesn't really help to hear what you already know. What you need to hear from them is what you don't know. You don't need them to
Yeah.
tell you that you're not, it's kind of like unfortunate that you're not able to pay rent. Like, you know that. You know you need to get a job. You just don't know how to do it. So it's kind of like,
Right.
imagine if I went to the hospital and I said, I've been throwing up for 5 days. And then the doctor said, well, you're throwing up for 5 days. And then I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I know that already. And they're like, well, you got to stop throwing up. And you're like, well, I can't. That's why I'm here. Because I can't stop throwing up. They're like, well, you got to stop. Like, other people aren't throwing up. Why are you throwing up? Like, you look around, like the people, like so and so's kid, he's not throwing up. You're like, yeah, I know that. They're like, I don't understand why you don't stop throwing up. Like, that's fucking not productive. So I think it's very important to understand, first of all, Bullius, that, so you think conflict avoidance is a bad thing? Or like, you think avoidance is a bad thing, right?
Generally, I'd say yeah. I mean, sometimes it probably has like its merits, but
What are its merits?
I mean, like if some dude's like at a bar and he's trying to like get in a fight with you and probably gonna like try and shank you or something, it's probably good to get out of there.
Absolutely. So what does your
But
avoidance do for you? Who's the guy? Who's the guy with the shank? What a beautiful analogy, Bullius. Who's shanking you right now?
me, I guess.
No, I
Shanking
don't think
myself.
so.
Um,
What does it feel like when you talk to your stepdad?
Not good.
Yeah, it feels like you're getting fucking shanked,
Right.
right? I mean, isn't that
I'd
what
say
it
it's
feels
learned
like? I think that's
behavior.
actually a great. You're getting backstabbed
Yeah.
with a guy who's using a dagger in Dark Souls. Like it's got good backstab damage. And he's
Yeah.
shanking you. And this is the thing, like you don't want to get shanked. Like it fucking sucks. So I think this is really important to understand. Like you say you're avoidant, and you make that sound like it's a problem, right? Like, do you think being avoidant is a problem?
Not always, but I think for me, yeah,
Yeah. Why is it a problem for you?
because it causes me to avoid things that I probably shouldn't be avoiding.
Okay. So that makes sense. But what does avoidance do for you? So if there's something that you should do, I want everybody to understand this. That the reason that our mind does things is not because it's shitty for us. Like that's not how our mind works. Our mind does stupid things because it actually helps us. So like having this conversation with your stepdad, how does that help you?
It doesn't.
Absolutely. So that's important to understand, right? Like we have this, we don't actually stop and think about what we're avoiding and why we're avoiding it. Like
Right.
you kind of, you're avoidant. You need to have a conversation with your parents. And I guess presumably like the main reason is because you need to come up with money for rent.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like the reason that you're avoidant is because when you have conversations, they actually don't really help you. They're painful. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm cooking and I put like my hand on my cast iron skillet and I get burned and then I don't do that again, like we don't call that avoidant, we just call that smart.
Right.
And so when you're like avoiding a conversation with your stepdad because he fucking shanks you when you talk to him, like sure, that's avoidant, but it's also protective. So this is the other word that I want us to start thinking a little bit about, is that avoidance is being protective. Like there's a part of you that's actually trying to protect yourself from like getting shanked. So then the question becomes like, Bullius, how do we like, if we want to stop being avoidant, what that means is that I just run with me, okay? This is going to be kind of weird because I'm going to like do a hop, skip, and a jump. What that means is that I want to stop being protective. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense? You with me
Yeah.
so far? So how do you think it is, and this is super abstract and weird, how do you think it is that you stop being protective? And so if we can understand what it is that makes you feel unsafe, and we can actually quiet that part of you, if we can quiet, you're avoiding the experience of some kind of negative emotion, right? But if we can address that negative emotion, then you no longer need to be avoidant. So I don't think that the solution to avoidance, and this is what a lot of people think, is like you just try to willpower your way through it. You're like, oh fuck, like I have to have this conversation. Why don't I just fucking have this conversation? It has to happen sometime. Why don't I just do it now?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Absolutely. Right? But like there are some things we have to take away the thing which makes you be avoidant. And then you won't be avoidant. Overcoming avoidance is a completely different thing which we can talk about. Like in terms of brute force, different part of your brain. What I'm talking about is sort of like emotionally processing the reason that you're being avoidant in the first place.